Kanji is your ugly slave busting his back in the Matrix. Like 99.99% of the population, he works himself to death creating medicine for the world. His life was so lame that even the god of medicine took pity on him and reincarnated him as a god in another world. Once again, using his healing powers, he must fight the Matrix and, unlike the USA, provide cheap healthcare. As the most talented medical prodigy in centuries, Kanji takes it upon himself to find drugs that cure life-threatening diseases. In a flashback, Kanji recalls that the doctors couldn't completely remove the tumor from his sister's body. In the end, the doctors tell his parents that nothing can be done about her. This incident is the only thing that motivated him to become the world-leading pharmacist. One night, in the lab, Kanji completes a short experiment which leads to a success. With no paper beside him, he writes the formula for the medicine on his hand and goes to sleep. Unexpectedly, the next day, his assistant finds him lifeless, lying on the bed. In the end, he couldn't even clap for that assistant. However, things don't come to an end, as Kanji finds itself in the body of a child. For a moment, he thinks that this might be flashes of some previous life. However, after regaining his senses, he finds a busty girl in a maid outfit by the name of Charlotte. Strangely enough, she refers to him by the name Master Falma, which more or less sounds like the name of a drug company. Accordingly to her, he was struck by a lightning and ended in a small coma. As reality sets in, he realizes that he finally worked himself to death and got teleported to another world, realizing he couldn't clap most of his students. Following this event, the maid undoes all the bandages on his body only to discover the holy mark of the god of medicine. Yet, he deems them to be burn marks from the lightning strike. Later in the hallway, Falma learns that his family specializes in medical skills and drugs. Furthermore, his father Bruno is the Archduke and the president of the Medicinal Academy. He also has an elder brother who's currently a college student and a younger sister, reminding him of his previous life. As their conversation continues, Charlotte mentions that nobles are separated from the rest of the pack due to capacity for divine arts. With that said, he goes back to the room in order to try out some RPG skills. Surprisingly enough, he starts thinking about the chemical composition of water, but suddenly, he feels something moving and water starts coming out of his hands. He quickly rushes to the closest window and ends up blasting a lot of water in the garden, but the small bitch ends up getting soaked. He uses this method to create a lot of substances like gold and silver. Still, for some reason, he can't create mixtures. A while later, Charlotte takes him to the study room, revealing that his father likes to quiz him at the dinner table. Upon skimming through some of the books, he learns that the medical knowledge of this world is at least centuries behind Earth. This means he can confidently face his father at dinner. He goes over to meet with his family. He immediately sports her mother and little sister, then his father welcome him, but just as Charlotte said, Bruno asks a very complicated medical problem. Without any hesitation, Falma answers the question, allowing him to continue his daily lessons. I swear to God, if this were my father, I would have prepared some sort of medicine to put him in a coma until his diaper is full of shit. The following morning, Bruno's personal student Eleanor Bonnefoy resumes her classes with him. Still, she can't digest the fact that Falma is talking to her with such good manners. Like always, she wants him to tie her up and make her submit to daddy. But now it feels to her as if he has lost all the testosterone when the lightning hit him. Just to summarize his previous lectures, Eleanor goes over the basics principles of divine arts and their 5 attributes. Moments later, Falma uses her magic wand to cast a water spear that turns into a dragon. Instantly, Eleanor loses her stuff, as one person can only use a certain amount of divine arts in their lifetime. Worried, she checks if Falma has any more divine arts left in him. She gets a device to measure his chakra and tells him to grip it tightly like if he were to whack off. To her surprise, he breaks the testing device, proving that he has both positive and negative elements. With nothing more to do, the two of them walk back to the estate. Along the way, Falma tells Eleanor that she rests up from the earlier shock. For some reason, he magically sees that she strained her finger this morning. Moreover, the color around the affected area changes when he comes to the right conclusion. This freaks her out even more, as the divine eye is the ability of the god of medicine. Furthermore, Eleanor points out that he doesn't have a shadow even in broad daylight, which even shocks Falma himself. From the immense shock, Eleanor catches a high fever, forcing her to skip class with Falma. Ultimately, Bruno prepares a medicine along with an instruction, and he asks Falma to personally deliver them. Even so, he knows that the formula wouldn't really help Eleanor deal with the fever, which forces him to use his own skills. Inside the Bonnefoy estate, she comes to meet him in full body armor, assuming that Falma is here to silence her. Despite making his intentions clear, Eleanor still assumes that he wants to kill using his divine arts or the new type of medicine. Eventually, Falma leaves the house after clearly stating that he needs her in order to master the divine arts. Thankfully, the next day, Eleanor decides to show some balls and show up to the training session. For that purpose, she takes him to an isolated island because his uncontrolled powers can evidently level the whole city. After days of training and clapping, Falma manages to obtain a deeper understanding of the divine arts. By now, he can even diagnose patients from afar using his divine eye. Unexpectedly, he sits around the staircase watching his servants using his magic eye, and notes down all the ailments of servants including Charlotte, and turns out she has a problem with dry skin on her hands. He then goes into his room, where he ended up creating medicines for each servant hoping that everyone can be treated despite their social class. Moments later, he goes over and hands them over to each one. Upon receiving the medicine, all the servants bow down to Falma in appreciation. Charlotte reveals that commoners can't afford pharmacists and the drug they prescribe. Once again, he finds a new motivation to continue becoming the best medical doctor in the world. A few days later, Bruno reveals that his sister Blanche is suffering from severe chicken pox. On top of that, he needs to leave for a sudden house call. Although, before going he tells Falma that he suffered from chicken pox as well, hinting that he has lifetime immunity. Despite this fact, he tells him to be careful because in some rare cases chickenpox can infect someone twice. Instantly, Falma's respect parameter for Bruno goes to another level, as this fact was just recently known on Earth. With that said, Falma goes into his secret lab to create the most simplistic medicine formula possible. This medicine does wonders on Blanche's body, making her recover in just 1 week. After a few days, Bruno calls Falma to his room only to reveal that the Empress of the Kingdom needs their help. Despite the sudden call, Bruno refuses to expose any information regarding the Empress's condition. Ultimately, the two of them make their way to the Imperial Castle. There, the head court physician tells Bruno that Their Majesty Elizabeth II is getting worse by the minute, and almost has the 2 legs in the coffin. After examining her by himself, Bruno comes to the conclusion that she is destined to perish. At this point, Falma is pissed off that these useless pieces of shit can only give her anesthesia to relieve her of pain. What's worse is that Bruno gives Elizabeth the anesthesia, claiming that it's a powerful drug that can treat the sickness. Evidently, Falma knows that none of the pharmacists present on the scene can cure Elizabeth, and so he is forced to use the power of the divine eye. As it turns out, he finds out the problem is in her lungs. Elizabeth suffers from a severe case of tuberculosis, also famously known as the White Death. Out of nowhere, a little bastard comes crying into the room to stay by his mother's side. After seeing this sight, Falma grows irritated, realizing that the pharmacists are now planning to use astrology. He then walks closer to Elizabeth, boldly claiming that there is a new type of medicine for her treatment. Immediately, Bruno and the others try to stop him from rambling nonsense. However, Elizabeth reminds everyone that she is the one who holds authority in the room. With that said, she decides to bet on the little glimmer of hope shown by Falma. When it's all said and done, Falma uses the castle lab as his personal play area. Due to the complexity of the medicine, he first writes down its chemical composition and then initiates the brewing process. Amidst the process, Bruno busts in the lab like the FBI, asking what the hell is in the drug. Bruno angrily reminds Falma that there is no chance in hell they can create a cure for a White Death. This shocks Falma because he needed a freaking superpower like his magic eye to determine the cause of the symptoms, while Bruno just did it the old way. As the situation escalates, Bruno raises his wand like each one of you in the morning. To counter the attack, Falma creates a very thick ice, revealing his overpowering MC abilities. Eventually, after a short discussion, Falma convinces Bruno that he is blessed by the god of medicine, which practically makes him a demigod. A while later, back in the Empress's chambers, Falma shows everyone the threat that bacteria hold over them. He reveals that unicellular organisms invade their body and cause such disease. Well enough for biology class, Falma initiates Elizabeth's treatment, which is supposed to last 6 months. Late at night, on their way back to the Medicis estate, Bruno realizes that this is not the son he raised. However, Falma changes his mind by saying that he needs to learn the art of dealing with patients from Bruno himself. Unexpectedly, 3 whole months have passed since Falma started Elizabeth's treatment. During these months, Falma and Bruno have been diving in the depths of medicine. At one of these sessions, Bruno mentions that various nobles have been typing to pooch the recipe of the medicine Falma created, but he has been making excuses ever since. After some thought, Falma reveals that medicine can be created by common people who lack the ability of divine arts. This both shocks Bruno and sends him into deep thought, as many nobles would like Falma dead. With that said, the two of them make their way to the Imperial Palace for the continuation of treatment. There, Noah reveals a gossip that is going on in the palace, saying that Her Majesty wants to reward Falma for such an extraordinary service. Excited, he wants to know what are the things that get him going. To his utter shock, Falma says that he wants to open a pharmacy in the capital that caters to everyone. A while later, he goes inside Elizabeth's room to give Her Majesty the scheduled treatment. Naturally, the two of them start talking about the effects of her illness on the throne and her power as a ruler. Along the lines, Falma senses that Elizabeth feels as worthless as one can get. He reminds her that these past months her son needed his mother the most. Just like him, there are many across the kingdom that respect and need her. Look at our boy rigging up a MILF. Just before leaving, he reminds her that people like him and Elizabeth who have faced death once should learn to appreciate the chance of a second life. As 3 more months pass, Elizabeth calls Bruno to her work chambers for some important business. As it turns out, she rewards Bruno with a land full of medicinal herbs along with some other backside perks, if you know what I mean. As far as Falma, he becomes an official royal pharmacist along with the permission to establish his own pharmacy. Effective immediately, the kingdom bests craftsmen at his service. They rush him into creating the best possible design for the shop. With those in-depth instructions, the construction of the pharmacy goes as smoothly as possible. To make things interesting, Falma gives it quite a literal name, calling it the Parallel World Pharmacy. Just days before the opening, the head of the local pharmaceutical guild shows up at the doorsteps, ready to exchange some blows. Surprisingly enough, Falma deals with him as a student of the trade and declines the offer to join the guild. Pushed into a corner, the fatso tries to scare away the commoners by accusing them of being expensive, but that only leads to Eleanor scaring his butt away. As things finalize the shop, Falma realizes that their team is missing a bookkeeper. In order to seek some advice, he returns to the mansion only to discover that their family's accountant Cedric is leaving the job because his knees have worsened and his dad decided to dismiss him. But Falma asks if he is able to cure his knees. He would still want to work, and Cedric nods his head like if he were to suck it. Immediately, he goes to Bruno, asking if he could hire him instead. As expected, Bruno allows the transfer of his employee. Furthermore, he gives Falma a ton of money as his way of thanking him. Back in the city, various commoners gather around the new pharmacy, appreciating its ambience and aesthetic. However, none of them have the courage to enter the store. Eleanor explains that all commoners are loyal to their pharmacy, whereas the nobles just call someone to them because they are rich dogs. Unexpectedly, Charlotte the all-rounder maid conducts a survey without anyone's knowledge. She reveals that the majority of people aren't comfortable entering the store. Some even think that their prices will be off the charts. After listening to the results, Cedric the accountant suggests that they should mention the prices of their products outside the store for completeness. Adding to this, Charlotte reveals that the majority of the people in the city can't read. In the end, Falma acknowledges the opinion of the common folk, accepting that they need to change some stuff. A while later, his dad and mother drop by the shop in the most obvious of disguises. Apparently, they wanted to tour the new place and see how their young pharmacists are doing. After taking a tour of the place, Bruno asks if the common folk are using his products. In all honesty, Falma goes on to reveal that they are having problems connecting with the common folk. Upon hearing about the issue, his mother suggests that he should add a line of cosmetics that will attract attention from women in all walks of life. Bruno seconds this suggestion, but he strictly forbids Falma from using white powder shit because they contain metals that reduce lifespan. He also states that some stupid bitches have been removing excess blood from their body just to look younger. Out of nowhere, someone barges into their lounge, seeking medical help for a lady. Hurriedly, Falma makes his way to the noble's carriage only to find a young girl half asleep. With the divine eye, he determines that the girl has been going through constant blood removal. He brings her into the shop and forbids her from any further procedures or makeup. To everyone's surprise, this crazy bitch says that her future husband likes young skills. Thankfully, someone with a clear mind like Falma reminds her that being alive is more important. In the end, he promises to create a new type of makeup that will not cause any harm. Over the following week, he constantly tests new types of organic foundations that contain 0 metals. Ultimately, he gives the products to Lady Chloe along with her other medicine doses. From that day onward, with Charlotte's marketing skills, the cosmetic line became the #1 product amongst both nobles and commoners. As a matter of fact, Falma finds himself in a pickle as the supply chain can't keep with the demand. Eventually, he strikes a deal with Chloe to open a subsidiary company primarily focusing on cosmetics. This shop will be used to create and test the new cosmetics. Over the week, Bruno, Falma along with the rest of the team visits the port city that was rewarded to Bruno during the whole White Death situation. The current governing officials gather a detailed report of the city's finances over the last 5 years. As the discussion progresses, Bruno tells Falma to get the fudge out and go do something stupid shit in the ocean. At the beach, Blanche and Charlotte run into the ocean with the intention to play on the shore. Following them, Eleanor also goes crazy and starts to reveal the good stuff underneath. She notices that Falma has been down from the moment he laid eyes on the ocean. Naturally, she thinks that some kids are afraid of the ocean and so she leaves him alone. Meanwhile, Falma is drowning in nostalgia as he remembered the day when he promised to swim with his little sister. Yet, due to her disease catching up, that day never came by. Out of nowhere, Charlotte lets out a loud scream, revealing that Blanche was pulled in by the strong current. Immediately, he jumps into the ocean without a second thought in mind. As the currents get stronger, Falma wonders if he will lose his sister once again. In that moment of need, he goes all out with his right hand, erasing every molecule of water and salt in the area. For a moment, Eleanor thinks that he is somehow holding back the water, but then she realizes that the sand of the ocean floor is completely dry. After getting to the shore, Falma notices that both Eleanor and Charlotte are scared to death by his new ability. Late at night, he contemplates that one wrong slip-up could have erased all the water in everyone's body, and could have killed his little sister. Moments later, Charlotte comes to the room asking forgiveness for her powerlessness. As it turns out, she did not fear him, rather it was the opposite. On the other hand, the news of this event spread across the neighboring Holy Kingdom. They deem that the boy without a shadow is a heretic, who should be slain. Back in the Imperial City, Falma notices that the rush in the shop is 3 times as before. Along with this, he also finds 2 odd-looking cosplayers looking around suspiciously. He tries to communicate with them, but the men leave without saying a single word. After a few days, on the break of dawn, a carriage full of impure stuff slams into the pharmacy, wrecking the whole building. This news gets to Bruno, who deems this event to be a declaration of war. Immediately, Falma internally claims that both the local guild and the people in the white robe could be their prime suspect. Yet, he acts wisely and does not make hasty false accusations. Back at the pharmacy, local citizens and members of the community help Falma and Cedric clear all the trash. As this goes on, a lady comes to the shop, seeking medical help, crying, explaining that her dad passed out. On horseback, she takes him to a remote area and she tells him his dad is on the hill. But as they walk through the grassland, when he turns back to ask for her dad, the bitch has vanished. Immediately, Falma gets surrounded by knights of the Holy Temple. Like a nice little daddy's boy, Falma tries to handle things with civil manners, whereas the assassination squad of the Holy Temple is hell-bent on killing him. After seeing that he has now shadow, Solomon the leader assumes that Falma is another evil spirit because he doesn't possess any shadow. They attempt to imprison him by using magic dome that just miserably fails. Eventually, these grown-ups start attacking a little child with magic. However, none of their attacks even lay a scratch on Falma's body. Ultimately, all the members unleash a 4-element combo attack, forcing Falma to reveal his true strength. In doing so, Commander Solomon falls from his horse and sustains a severe injury. In that moment, Solomon notices that Falma is marked by the holy god of medicine, which would make him a vessel of the guardian deity. This also explains why Falma has no shadow, as gods are being with the purest light. Upon realizing their blasphemy, all the knights accept that they must atone for their sins with their life. However, Falma stops Solomon before he does anything stupid. He then builds a tent in order to perform a surgery on his leg. Despite having little experience in the field, he manages to save both his life and leg. After a few days, Solomon visits the pharmacy as the new bishop of their kingdom. With him, he brings a divine wand that is capable of channeling all 4 elements of nature, and it can also be quite portable. Now it seems like an Apple commercial. Anyways, Falma gets worried that he might forget the wand in some chick's house or in the red light district area. However, Solomon insists that he should try the freaking thing first. The minute he touches the wand, it starts glowing, which indicates that Falma is worthy to use it. Furthermore, no mortal being can hold the wand because it's not of this world. The wand can also allow him to do Harry Potter type shit like flying. Before leaving the pharmacy, Solomon gives him a talisman which can suppress divine power, allowing him to have shadow. Later that day, Falma takes his little sister and Charlotte to a shop in town. Along the way, he notices a woman asking the local pharmacy to stock products from the parallel world pharmacy. Unexpectedly, the owner reveals that the local guild doesn't allow them to do anything of the sort. This leads him to thinking that another guild must be made that can help other pharmacies sell their medicine. Simultaneously, at the local pharmaceutical guild, the Fatso Veron and the others have their backside burning in jealousy. Despite the positive comments they heard about Falma, the guild refuses to accept him as a fellow pharmacist. In fact, the Veron issues a new order, stating that all members are forbidden from contacting the guild. Everyone at the meeting cheers for this decision except Pierre. As it turns out, his daughter is suffering from a high fever, and the local doctor is off on honeymoon. Coincidentally, Falma encounters him desperately banging the clinic door, shouting for help. There, he introduces himself as a royal pharmacist and invites him to the parallel world pharmacy. Initially, Pierre is hesitant due to all the restrictions from the guild. However, upon seeing his daughter, he is given into the situation. Together, after walking to the pharmacy, Falma takes him inside through the back door to avoid the risk of spreading the disease. Pierre makes an assumption, thinking that this is due to his commoner status. Inside the pharmacy, Falma gives him a cloth to cover his mouth, which clears his doubts about him treating others according to their status. Following this, Falma personally provides an in-depth examination, concluding that it's just a common cold. In the evening, he discharges her from the guild and also tells Pierre that he should rush over if anything odd happens. Back at his house, Pierre tells his wife that he brought medicine from the parallel world pharmacy. With deep regret, he realizes that Falma's ability is way ahead of anyone in the guild. In the end, he starts crying because the usual medicine can't really save anyone in the city. In the next meeting, Pierre boldly says that Falma's method of treating people is more logical, whereas they just hand out random herbs left and right, hoping that their patients will recover. Despite being the one who's mostly affected by parallel world pharmacy, Pierre claims that they should learn from their ways rather than shun them. Immediately, Veron revokes his license to conduct business in the city and also wreck his place to pieces. Outside, Falma finds him devastated, yet he doesn't want to stop being a pharmacist. Ultimately, Falma enlists him into the new guild, making him Parallel Worlds Pharmacy's first partner store. Back at the Medicis estate, Falma's big brother Pal sends a letter, informing them that his visit is delayed. In the office, Bruno reveals that Pal also revealed that 1,000 people died in the Netherlands from a mysterious disease. Furthermore, even the researchers sent to inspect the situation died after 7 days. The most concerning thing is their ships are going to enter the country through the new port Elizabeth rewarded them with. Meanwhile, at the Imperial Castle, various ministers sing songs of praise for the young Falma, who has managed to achieve outlandish results in the health department. Upon hearing the results, Elizabeth wishes to grant him the title Archduke, but one of the nobles reminds her that the title can only be given when he is of age. Simultaneously, Falma makes his way to the pharmacy in order to prepare for the potential epidemic. A few moments later, he receives a pigeon carrier from Pal, containing a sketch of the bacteria. Instantly, he realizes that the disease is none other than the infamous Black Death. In a state of hurry, he rushes over to Bruno's office, as this is something that requires a few extra hands. Thankfully, by now Falma has already created a medicine and established quarantine stations at the port gates. Still, the threat of the disease spreading like wildfire is no joke, and so together they present their case to Elizabeth herself. There, the three of them set a few new parameters to avoid prevention of disease through rats and other insects. When it's all said and done, Falma makes his way over to the compound guild for the sake of rechecking everything. There, Pierre assures him that thousands of medicines have been sent to various stations and pharmacies. In the end, he claims that their guild will not let the disease spread any further. On the other hand, at the castle, the finance minister gives a detailed report about the trade show. Despite the disease, this guy is still worried about all the money they will lose. To counter his concerns, Elizabeth reminds him that the health of the people is everything, and so he should just shut up. As everyone prepares to fight the disease, both Falma and Eleanor depart from the Imperial City to the port city. The moment they step foot in the port city, two of Eleanor's students give them detailed reports about the current situation. Fortunately, as of now, none of the ships or crew members seems to have symptoms of the Black Death. However, there are many ships in the middle of nowhere that Falma needs to inspect himself. Following his own protocol, Falma and Eleanor make their way to foreign ships. Despite the care, the ungrateful bastards whine like little brats because they have to wait a few extra hours. Still, the inspection of the ship continues without fail. After a few hours, the whining starts once again, and this time the situation between merchants escalates. Luckily, the first ever customer of Parallel World Pharmacy, Jean Allen Gabai, who is also a Marine Fleet captain, enters the scene. He fired his cannon, which scared every merchant, and if anyone dare to blink, they will end up having more than one hole in their The presence of an Imperial fleet is enough to keep the loose dogs in check. Finally, after returning to the city, Falma, Eleanor, and the rest of the team report that there were no cases on the upcoming ships. Out of the blue, Adam, the leading governor of the city, barges in the tent, revealing that a small town has reported cases of sudden deaths. As it turns out, one of the ships decided to skip the inspection and land on the other side. Without wasting any time, Falma uses his wand to fly over there immediately. Upon reaching the city, he finds a bunch of illiterate people running for their lives. Initially, Falma politely tells them to return back and let him treat them. However, the villagers perceive him as the evil spirit spreading the disease amongst them. In the end, Falma uses his divine arts along with the wand to create an ice dome around the city. He then reveals himself to be a royal pharmacist, which honestly should have been the first thing. Inside the city, Falma and the few of the unaffected locals start planning their strategy for future action. Simultaneously, at sea, Jean and his crew come across a renegade ship filled with corpses. They conclude that these fools were the one carrying the Black Death. With great sorrow and regret, Jean orders his crew to send the ship into the depths of the ocean. Meanwhile, at the Imperial School of Pharmacy, Professor Louise Casper said that her research on microorganisms is just burdening on the academy. In her lab, she decides to write a letter of resignation in order to retire. At that time, Bruno, who is also the president, summons her. On the other hand, in the ice dome, Falma separates patients according to their conditions. One by one, he administers medicine to every patient along with the help of priests from the Holy Temple. He also asks a team of priests to catch up to the crew that is headed towards the capital with unknown cargo. In the meantime, back at the academy, Casper assumes that he wants to relieve her of the post, but Bruno interrupts her and reveals that someone wants her to extract a substance from a microorganism. As it turns out, she already had prosperous colonies of the organisms growing in her lab. Effective immediately, Bruno says that Casper's department will receive a special budget for such a huge contribution. Simultaneously, Falma finishes administering treatment to every critical patient in town. He reports that more than half with severe symptoms are in stable condition. However, some of them have died as well. With that said, he leaves the city in the hands of the priest in order to catch the rest of the crew. Along the way, he comes across a few men who reveal that the rest of the crew is going to the capital with 5 holy knights and expensive cargo. Amongst all the stuff, there are also rare white squirrels directly imported from Netherlands. Upon hearing the full story, Falma immediately connects the dots between Elizabeth's illness, 5 holy knights accompanying commoner merchants, and white squirrels that are the source of Black Death. The following morning, in the capital, Bruno reports to Her Majesty about the current situation of things. He predicts that the infected cargo would enter the city through Gate 6. As a countermeasure, Elizabeth orders the guards to tighten security at all the gates. Despite all the efforts, the Holy Knights from the other kingdom break into the city and release all the infected squirrels. With all the commotion outside, Bruno concludes that someone he knows has planned this invasion all along. Back in his college days, there was a medical genius named Camus who introduced various new treatments. However, due to his uncanny habit of experimenting with humans, the Holy Temple stripped him of divine arts and banished him from nobility. Back in the city, the 5 knights decimate all the imperial forces with their divine arts. Their powers run rampant until Solomon and his team of priests arrives and strips them of their divine arts. A few moments after, Falma enters the capital only to discover that the majority of people have been infected by the Black Death. Furthermore, a species of rare white flying squirrels are being used to spread the disease. Coincidentally, he runs into Bruno, who is headed for the front lines to investigate the situation. Unexpectedly, the knights that invaded the city were forced to do so by the man named Camus. Out of the blue, Falma notices a tall black shadow standing on top of the building, exposing Camus's location to everyone. On the other hand, Charlotte rushes things and heads to the Parallel World Pharmacy. Despite Cedric's constant warning, she enters the building only to get herself and him stabbed by a poisonous blade. Luckily, both Falma and Bruno come to their rescue in time. Without any hesitation, Bruno takes on the fight, allowing Falma to heal them both. In a state of rush, Falma eliminates the various poisons from their body with nothing but his right hand. Filled with anger, he fights with the evil spirit using powers of pure light. In the end, Falma uses the most powerful purifying divine arts with the help of the divine wand. In doing so, he eliminates the entire epidemic plaguing the city. Eventually, after 2 months of constant work, the Black Death finally diminishes from the face of the world. In the end, the parallel world pharmacy resumes work far better than ever. Watch this next video. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe, and let me know what you think about this anime on the comments. Till the next my recap followers.